What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to WillND. Unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about week 2 of college football, but I got my pal Jeffrey with me, so that makes it a little better.
Definitely appreciate it, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. And even though week 2 had some rough results, maybe week 3 is going to be better. Week 3, you always can move forward, and hopefully the games will be really good for week 3. A lot of people saying week 3 is going to be a down week, not a lot of great games. I think there's still some sneaky games in there, though, some solid games to look forward to for sure. But yeah, we got to get to week 2 first. Got to recap that and it's going to be fun outside of a few games we discussed.
Yeah. Well, Jeffrey, I'm sure you had fun watching your Hoosiers beat up on Western Illinois.
This game right here was fabulous. Indiana scoring the most points that they've ever scored in a game, ever, all time. They've never scored 77. Their record was 76 against Franklin College back in 1901, which Franklin College, I don't think plays football anymore. So big for Indiana. I know Western Illinois is horrible. Obviously, they are a bad football team, but it's still impressive. And there's no way that Tom Allen, if he was still the coach, Indiana would have won this game the way that they did. And Indiana also had the most yards that they've ever had in a game as well. So breaking 2 records. They only had 2 incompletions in the game, and they ran all over them. Indiana's a complete offense right now. They can run, they can pass. Their defense is way improved. I'm very impressed with Indiana. Will they, have a great season, win 8-9 games like some people are possibly projecting now? Maybe not, but this is a vastly improved football team, and they did exactly what a team that is significantly better than the other team should do. They blew the doors off Western Illinois, and it was a glorious game to watch and something that is very rare to see from Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, the Hoosiers scoring 77 on Western Illinois. I mean, I was expecting them to get in the 50s, but to get into the 70s, definitely impressed by Indiana. Kirk Cignetti has those boys ready for action, so it'll be fun to see the Hoosiers Saturday night. That'll probably be the game that I'll watch Saturday night because it's kind of slim pickings. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm actually glad, to be honest, that the games for that time slot are not that great, because that means more people are going to be watching Indiana UCLA. Now, hopefully the result isn't bad. I don't want the result to be bad. Everybody's watching it, but I am glad though, especially if it's a great game and hopefully things turn out well. Like, that's awesome that they're getting the spotlight, because there aren't a lot of great games in that time slot. But I mean, just to me, I've never seen, outside of the couple games where Penix was unbelievable, throwing for 500 yards against Ohio State in 2020 and Michigan. I just don't – I've never seen Indiana look like this complete of a team on both sides of the ball. Kurt Cignetti's definitely turned this thing around very fast. But how well he's turned it around, we'll see very quickly.
Well, it looks like BYU, they're ready to be a Power 5 team. SMU, maybe not yet. Pretty pathetic showing by the fans for SMU, I have to say. Kind of a Maryland-like showing. I mean, I know high school football is more popular than college football besides the Blue Bloods in Texas and Oklahoma, but still kind of a weak showing by the Mustang fans. But BYU got it done. So credit to Kalani Sitake and his team. Definitely looks like they might be a bowl team this year, which a lot of people didn't expect them to be at the bottom of the Big 12.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the problem when you have a team like SMU, you got so much competition for viewers, right? I mean, it's people getting in the seats because, like you said, it was on a Friday night, so you had high school football, which in Texas, there's tons of high school football. And then, obviously, the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. A lot of people, aren't going to, go watch a game on Friday night in a college football game and then go watch an NFL game on Sunday. It's just, that doesn't happen, right? And I know that technically the Cowboys were playing on the road at the Browns this past week. I get that, but still, it's like SMU, they don't draw that many fans, that much interest all the time, even when they have a good season, a good team, which is kind of unfortunate because they have had good teams even recently. But if they had better fans, maybe that would have helped. Who knows? But BYU needed this game. They needed a win more than SMU did because they're going to have a tougher schedule than SMU in the ACC. Kalani Sitake, his seat was getting a bit warm, so this kind of cools it down a bit. And hopefully they end up having a decent year and make a bowl game. It'd be kind of disappointing if they don't after starting out 2-0. But I will say I don't understand why SMU doesn't have Preston Stone starting. I'm still confused with that after the season he had last year, throwing for 28 touchdowns and 6 interceptions and over 3,200 passing yards, to now they're going with the backup that's now the starter, and he can't pass the ball at all. I don't really understand that. It makes no sense to me. But if SMU doesn't get Preston Stone back in the starting lineup at QB, then they might not have a good year. I don't really know what they're doing. So good win for BYU, but SMU, they need to go with Preston Stone.
Duke Northwestern. I turned this game off after a fumble. I thought the fumble, I was like, all right, I'm going to bed. It's a fumble. Northwestern can knee it out. But it turns out he was down by contact. So the game went on with me in my bed going to sleep, and it turns out Duke won.
Yeah, you gotta love that, man. When you think a game's over, I've done that before. Like I turn it off, right? Like it's done, and then you get like you just check it one more time, right? And then you see that they got the ball again, and then you turn it back on. Happens all the time. So now I just stay awake most of the time. But man, sometimes you just like, I love watching football, but I gotta go to bed. But yeah, I will say that Northwestern blew this game, gave it away. Yeah. They had multiple chances to win. And Malik Murphy, I thought he was doing everything he could to blow the game for Duke, but then they ended up winning in overtime, double overtime even. So it's a good win for Duke, I guess, because they ended up winning. I mean, it's a solid win on the road, but like they did everything they could to give the game away. But at least it did help our picks, though, because of the fact it would have been kind of rough. The only game we got right on Friday night was Indiana. So we went 2-1. Did you pick BYU or did you pick SMU? I can't remember.
I think I picked SMU.
Okay, yeah, you did, because I know I did. I know I picked SMU. So yeah, it was not going to be a good night. Because I even told Mark, because I was live with the Voice of College Football calling in, and I was like, yeah, me and Will we're 1-2, and then Duke got the ball back, and I was like, oh man, and then when they won, so it was a good win for the Blue Devils in hindsight, but not a pretty game overall, very sloppy. But Northwestern really needed this game. And
Mike Wright was rough, man. I don't think he was not great for Northwestern.
Yeah, he did better when he was at Vanderbilt, to be honest. Like he had his best success at Vandy, which is ironic that you would say you had your best success at Vandy, right? Like that doesn't even make any sense to me how that's possible, because he went to Mississippi State, didn't do anything, he never played, and then now he's at Northwestern. And I mean, I wouldn't say he's Jeff Sims, he's not Jeff Sims, but not great for Mike Wright at Northwestern, and it could be a long year for them. We have a few people in chat right here. Hummus Hero saying good evening, appreciate you. We also got RC and Big Pig as well for stopping by. Appreciate all of you. Says just sub. Thanks a lot. Everybody sub to Only Talk Sports and WillND if you like watching college football and you like hearing analysis on it. So it's going to be a fun show, but definitely appreciate it. And RC says Jeff Sims, a.k.a. Mr. Fumbles. He was terrible.
Thanks for coming, guys. Georgia taking care of business over Tennessee Tech. Ohio State taking care of business at Western Michigan. Texas and Michigan. I call this game. Texas getting the job done in Ann Arbor. Michigan's offense isn't great. Quinn Ewers looked great, though, for the Longhorns.
The funny thing is I'm trying to remember my score prediction. Did I say 31-10? Or did I say 31-14?
I think I was 38-17. I don't remember yours exactly.
I might have said 31-10. It sounds right. But we both were accurate on Michigan getting beat pretty badly. They're not good this year. Their offense is bad. It's rough. Their defense has some talent on it still, but the problem is that they're going to be able to withstand. Their defense isn't going to be able to withstand their offense being as bad as it is for the entirety of the season. It's just going to get worn down. So if their offense doesn't improve, then Michigan might lose 3-4 games this year.
Alex Orji has to be the starter for Michigan, or even Jaden Davis. Like, they got to go with the best player on the team who has the highest ceiling. I mean, I know.
Well, the thing is, I thought it was between Jack Tuttle versus Alex Orji, but then it looks like he's out of the picture. I don't know if he got hurt or something.
Mm-hmm.
But who's the guy again? Warren is his last name.
Davis Warren, is that
Davis it? Warren. I didn't even know he was a part of the competition. Mm-hmm. And then now he's suddenly the starter. That doesn't make sense. And he's not very good. Mm-hmm. I don't like, trashing people's ability because, obviously he's a better quarterback than me. But, but he's not great. And to be at Michigan, following up a national championship season for Michigan, it just looks really bad. They were a 7-point underdog, and they lost by 19, and it could have been worse. Mm-hmm. It could have been a lot worse. Yeah, like RC said, Davis Warren. Like, I couldn't even remember his name. He came out of nowhere. I just remember it was Jack Tuttle, Alex Orji, and the other guy said Jane Daniels or whatever, or something like that. So I wasn't even expecting, like, Davis Warren. He's not the guy. So if Alex Orji can't get it together, then Michigan's going to have some problems this year.
Khalil Mullings needs to be the feature back for Michigan. Like, Donovan Edwards is like a good side piece, but he can't be your main guy. Khalil Mullings has to be the main guy to tire out the defensive line and be able to create those holes.
Well, the thing is to me, the best chance that Michigan is going to be able to have of having any success, they have to run an offense. This might sound dumb because I know this is not how offenses are run anymore, but it would almost make more sense to have Mullings out there on one side, then have on the other side of the quarterback Donovan Edwards, and then have Alex Orji. And I wouldn't say go full-on option, but you have to be able to fake out the defense by having, okay, we got Orji, Edwards, and Mullings who are all capable of running the ball. And then if Orji can develop any type of passing ability, like at all, then you can have that threat of being able to pass somewhat, but then you've got all three guys that can run in the backfield. You don't know who's going to get it on any play. It can create mismatches. But their offense right now with Davis Warren is garbage. It is awful. And there's no surprise when Donovan Edwards enters the game that they're going to do something with him. Like, you have to have him out there more often to confuse the defense because you don't know when they're going to give it to him. When he's trotted out there on the field, they know he's going to run. It's broken. Their offense is bad. Sharon Moore's got stuff to figure out. And he's got some talented players, but you got to figure out how to use this because this is an unconventional offense right now. But Donovan Edwards cannot be a feature back. Absolutely not. You got to sprinkle him in. It's the only way he's effective.
What do you think about
Moses says, I need Notre Dame to beat up Purdue. Boilermakers play Beavs after. That's funny.
What did you think of your Crimson Tide, one of your teams, having a little bit of trouble with South Florida again?
Well, the thing that's so frustrating, I was watching this game and I was just actively frustrated. I'm like, I said on the show, Alabama's going to blow the doors off South Florida because of the fact that after last year, the close game, no Jalen Milroe, they were trying Tyler Buckner and Ty Simpson. This year, they're just going to beat them 50-3. It's all going to be good. And I'm watching this game and I'm like, they're doing it again. Alabama's doing it again. Turnovers, mistakes, turnovers on downs. Just awful offense. Jalen Milroe looks like he can't even throw anymore, like last year at the beginning of the season. I'm like, what's going on? And South Florida looked like they had a chance, literally a couple times there, to take the lead. And then out of the blue, Alabama gets it together. This score was not indicative in any way of how the game was. I will admit, honestly, 110%, that when you see this score, you think, well, Alabama, took care of business, could have been better. But no, they did not. They were horrible in this game. Alabama, if they play like this later on down the season, they got just cut out there. Georgia will be tough. At Tennessee, at LSU, it would just be almost impossible for Alabama if they play like this. But they got it together. They figured it out at the end. Ended up winning by a lot more, like I said, than the way the game was playing out. It was not this much of a blowout. But I don't know. I don't know if it's just South Florida or what, but Alabama was not focused in this game. The exact opposite of the Western Kentucky game. Hopefully it was just a blip.
Well, another team that wasn't focused was my Fighting Irish. As we went down to Northern Illinois in South Bend. The thing that first gave me the red flag in this one was that Marcus just did not look as excited for this game as he did the A&M game. I'm not saying he has to be as excited, but he was just emotionless in this game. And the Fighting Irish just did not play with – it's like they didn't want to be there. Again, similar to the Louisville game. The offensive line, pretty much everyone played significantly worse in this game. It seemed like it was a lack of effort even. Besides Jaden Osbury and Jeremiah Love, they're the only players that really played well in this game for the Irish. And Riley Leonard, I mean, I know that he didn't have fall camp to be with his receivers, so he wasn't really connecting well with them. But just run the ball then. I mean, run the ball with your best player, Jeremiah Love, if your offense isn't working. Like, I know Mike Denbrock likes the high-flying aerial attack, but at the end of the game, you just got to run the ball and not throw. And Riley just threw the stupidest interception at the end of that game to give Northern Illinois, who got back their star running back, a chance at the end, Brown. He was by far the best player in the game, and they were able to get in field goal range and win the game. It's just crushing loss after all the excitement of the past week. I just felt so deflated watching the end of this game and the Irish losing to Northern Illinois. And now Riley Leonard's non-throwing arm is hurt. I don't even want to. I feel like we should see the other quarterbacks, CJ Carr, Kenny Minchie, Stephen Jelly. I feel like they should all get a chance to play in the Purdue game because Riley just did not have it against Northern Illinois. It was horrible.
Yeah, and I felt really bad for you, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really did because, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the biggest Notre Dame guy out here. But, I mean, I root for them for you. Hope they win games, I was hoping they beat A&M, and they did. I'm like, prove me wrong, Notre Dame. Prove me wrong when I picked A&M. And they did. And I'm like, yes, Notre Dame. They're going to have a good year, it looks like. They got an easy schedule for the most part. They could go undefeated. Even if they lose one game, easily make the playoff. It's all good. We didn't even pick this game. Mm-hmm. We didn't even bother picking this game. I would have never even have thought after what they did at A&M. Let down, yeah, okay. Maybe have an Alabama-like performance where you struggle a bit, but then you figure it out at the end and you win comfortably. Nope. This is not what happened here. And it's sad to hear from you that when you watch the game, that effort was the problem. It just isn't that things went wrong or you just had a horrible game. You just had a just unfortunate bad luck. Everything goes wrong type of game. No, it was just effort. Because if they played as hard as they did against Ohio State last year, they didn't win that game. Or A&M this year, they're going to win this game. It's Northern Illinois. Even if Northern Illinois ends up being the team that wins the MAC, it does not matter. The amount of talent discrepancy in this game between Notre Dame and Northern Illinois is massive. This Notre Dame team people thought was easily playoff, could maybe even have a shot to win it all. And now people are saying, can they make the playoff? Because Notre Dame's margin for error is very slim here. Because you're not going to have these other teams that are going to be fighting for those at-large bids in the playoff having a loss this bad on their resume. That's not going to happen. And plus, Notre Dame doesn't have a conference championship that they can play for. All of that, which seems still like they're trying to force Notre Dame to join a conference with that. But still, it's just bad. It looks really bad. And the fact Notre Dame has done this before, even during the Marcus Freeman era, of overlooking opponents and playing down to their opponents at times. Stanford and Marshall, we know that year Notre Dame wasn't as good. They did figure out toward the end. But Notre Dame, as a top 10 team, has lost to 3 teams that were I think I just cut out again there. Mm-hmm. Great. But in the last 6 years, Notre Dame has basically accounted for I wouldn't say half, but it's like a quarter of like the biggest upsets in college football.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Notre Dame problem that for whatever reason they can't get out of their own way, and they cannot find a way to just give the same effort every single game. That's all Notre Dame has to do. You don't want to be like Auburn or A&M or these other teams that show up to big games and they don't show up for smaller games. Notre Dame was a really great team on paper this year, and they might still end up having a great season if they can just get this behind them. But this was ugly. And whatever it takes, whether it's a QB change, like you said, or whatever it is, I don't know. But this should not have happened. Notre Dame should not have lost this game. But Riley Leonard, I mean, he's a good QB, but he's not the best passer in the world. And it doesn't look like Notre Dame knows how to really use his running ability right now. And like you said, he's even banged up on his left arm. You might have to go with someone else. But all I know is I can't believe that Notre Dame did it again. After getting everybody back on their side after beating Texas A&M, they did it again. Blew it in a game that they should have won.
It's just frustrating. I mean, like Jim Tressel, like told Mike Marcus that, like, hey, like this is good, but you haven't done anything yet. You gotta win your games you're supposed to. And I don't know. I guess Marcus just didn't tell the players enough to. You gotta be prepared for these other teams too. But good job to Ole Miss for doing what they needed to do over Middle Tennessee. Boys, Oregon still looking sketchy this season. Barely beat Boise, although Boise, they are one of the better group of 5 teams. Oregon should still be winning by more than just 3 against them.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said on After Dark the other night. The thing with Oregon is that this was a more impressive win than the game against Idaho because Boise is a better team. But the problem is since Oregon barely beat Idaho and now they barely beat Boise State, it seems like a bigger trend that Oregon is not great this year. And unless they turn it around, they're going to because I think I cut out again. My internet is really bad today. The problem is that Oregon, their defense is bad. That's a problem, right? So you talk about the Idaho game, they gave up 14, and then they gave up 34 to Boise State. I know Genty's an incredible running back, but still, like you have the defense. You should be able to slow them down some. They barely slowed them down at all. And then their offense, Dylan Gabriel is just dinking and dunking it down the field. And then I'm seeing people online say, oh, Dylan Gabriel can't throw the ball downfield. I don't agree with that. Dylan Gabriel can sling the ball downfield. He has an arm. He did it at UCF, and he did it at Oklahoma. Oregon is not having him throw the ball down the field. I don't know why. I don't know if it's their O-line. I think it's their O-line. I think they don't believe in their protection. I don't think they trust their protection. But if they do not have Dylan Gabriel, if they don't open up that offense and allow him to do what he is capable of doing, they're going to have a long season, and that defense has to get better because Ohio State's going to run all over them if they don't figure that out. 34 to Boise, that's a problem on their own field. Their defense isn't good enough, and their offense, Dylan Gabriel, I mean, he's good enough to be a lot better than what they're putting out there right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was Oregon's first win over Boise. As I think they're like 0-2 or 0-3 against them, so that's good for them. But they got to be getting a lot better on offense, or they're not. Won't even be probably the 3rd best team in the Big Ten.
I agree, absolutely.
Penn State almost had that trap game after winning the big game in Morgantown.
Hey, Bowling Green's done it before. You remember when they beat Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah, they beat Minnesota in a year that Minnesota had a good season. Was it? It wasn't the 11-2 year, was it?
No, it was. I think it was 21 or 22.
Yeah, when they went like 9-4 or something. They had a good season overall. I couldn't remember. I didn't think it was the 11-2 year, but they had a good season. But they lost to Bowling Green. So Bowling Green's done it before, but yeah, Penn State still has some issues. They're good, but a lot of people are mad at Tom Allen right now, defensive coordinator, giving up 27 to Bowling Green. So that's an issue. Tom Allen, you got to do better. You don't have to worry about a complete team anymore. It's one side of the ball. Like you got to make sure Penn State's defense is good, or they'll fire him. So and their offense still needs to be a bit better at times. I think they're better, but not a good look surviving against a MAC school. But at least they didn't lose.
Mm-hmm. At least
Scotty B says he doesn't see Notre Dame making the playoff.
Yeah,
Appreciate you stopping by, Scotty B.
I agree with.
Yeah, they got to win out. I think at this point,
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Yeah, Penn State. I mean, they got away with it, but we'll see if they can get back to playing how they were in Morgantown once they play. I think they play USC pretty soon, so that'll be.
Yeah, I just don't understand the letdown. I mean, Notre Dame with Northern Illinois, Penn State with Bowling Green. I mean, the thing is, you can't. It's every game matters, right? You have to treat it go 1-0. You have to win every game. Like, you got to focus on every single opponent. I know it's easier said than done, right? It's easier said than done. And no matter sometimes how many times a coach says it, the players still don't get it. But it is a culture thing. Some teams flat out play hard every game, and then other teams don't. There is something there to that. There's something to be said about that.
Missouri off to a good start as well. They won 38-0 over Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Utah, sorry, Scotty. Utah beat Baylor 23-12. I mean,
hey, I will say that Baylor did keep it close, but did I see did Cam Rising get hurt again?
Can take a look.
I thought he did because, I mean, Daquan Finn.
Oh, he did get injured.
Yep, that's why. And I don't know how serious it is, but I remember seeing that, and that's why this game was closer. Because if Cam Rising didn't get hurt, Utah would have won by more. Not saying that in negativity to Baylor, but yeah, that's why this game was closer. Utah's not the same team without him.
Daquan Finn, I was disappointed in him in this game.
Yeah, he didn't do that good. I mean, 115 yards and a touchdown, that's not good enough. It says Cam Rising status remains up in the air, so we don't even know if he's going to be back. Scotty says it wasn't a dirty hit. Hummus says, how long will he be out? I have no idea, but they need him back. I mean, if Utah is going to be able to win the Big 12 this year, they need Cam Rising back. Can they win it without him? It depends on how bad the Big 12 is. And we know Utah, their defense is good and all that, and their home crowd, but, I mean, they need Cam Rising. He's like he's the extra addition. He's the secret sauce to their team, right? Like, they need him to be as good of a team as possible. They're never even an elite team with him, but they become a much better team when he's in. Scotty B says Finn was rattled. There was a quote from Rand on Finn's performance, which is compelling in the press conference. Yeah, I didn't see his press conference, but I'm sure he was not too happy with it because I don't know when Cam Rising got hurt. I didn't see it in the game. I remember seeing that he did, but I don't know when it was in the game. But Baylor had probably a shot to win. I'm sure you watched the whole game, Scotty, but Baylor probably had a chance, but they obviously didn't give themselves a chance.
Miami and USC, they took care of business.
Yeah, Miami doing what they're supposed to do for once. We'll see if it lasts. And one of the big winners of the week here, Tennessee.
Well, NC State was in – sorry, can I say something? NC State, they were in the game, and then Grayson McCall threw the pick six. I was like, no, NC State. And then they just fell apart. So NC State, they were in it for a bit, but –
It's kind of like the Clemson-Georgia game. Clemson kept it close for a while, and then the dam broke, right? Georgia just blew it open. This is what happened here. Like, NC State was holding on. They were keeping it close. The game was interesting, and then the pick six, and then it was done. Game was just history. And I'm just glad we didn't pick NC State. I don't really have much else to say here except NC State I don't think is a great football team. They barely beat Western Carolina. They just got bludgeoned by Tennessee. They'll probably make a bowl game because it's the ACC, but I don't think they're that good.
It was 13-10 at that. It was 13-10 at that point. NC State was like deep into Tennessee territory, and then
So I mean, like if it's big of a blowout, but I still think Tennessee would have won fairly comfortably, probably. But I mean, momentum is a thing. I agree, but Tennessee was better. You could clearly tell they were better than NC State.
Oklahoma and Houston, man. Oklahoma, man. Jackson Arnold. I don't know if he's the guy, man. I don't think he's the guy that Sooner fans were bragging about.
This is the problem. This is the issue that we have in college football right now, where Oklahoma got rid of Gabriel because of the fact that, like, if we don't play Jackson Arnold this year, then he's going to leave. They didn't want to lose Gabriel, but they were like, okay, Gabriel's just like, I got 1 year left. I'll go to Oregon. They need a QB. You got Jackson Arnold now. Well, here's the problem. Jackson Arnold's not that good right now. And I was concerned. I even told you I didn't think he looked all that good in the bowl game last year. I just didn't. Avery Johnson was more impressive at Kansas State than Jackson Arnold was at Oklahoma. I was not that impressed with Jackson Arnold. And then people are like, oh, well, Dylan Gabriel was going to get benched. He was not going to get benched. Okay? He was not going to get benched. They just basically, in my opinion, I wasn't there, but I just felt like they made an agreement, right? Like, okay, if you stay, he's going to leave. We want him to stay, so, and then he left. You know, that's just the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not in those circles. That's just the way I feel about it. It's what it seemed like from afar. And but again, I don't think Jackson Arnold's the guy right now. He could be eventually, but Oklahoma's not all that good because Houston, Houston's not a great football team. They're pretty bad. And this game was at Oklahoma and they barely won. So they got some problems. And if they had to drop this game, people would have been mad at Brent Venables. And they really are still. But yeah, Oklahoma's not great.
Arkansas and Oklahoma State. This game was a whole shootout at the end. It looked like Arkansas was going to win. But Oklahoma State did climb back into the game, force into overtime, and get the win. But Bobby Petrino's offense did look good for Arkansas. Or maybe we should be concerned about Oklahoma State's defense. But this was a fun game.
Yeah, it was an interesting game for sure. Last few seasons, I think I just cut out there again. Arkansas the past few seasons has been competitive in some bigger games, but they can't win, right? I mean, it's good. It's one thing to be competitive, but it's a whole other thing to win the game. Arkansas was competitive. What can you say? But at the same time, like you said, kind of disappointing for Oklahoma State that they gave up this many points to a team that hasn't really been that good on offense the past few years. So that's interesting. Oklahoma State, you could just say they won. It's good for them. You know, a win's a win, but could have been better. But Arkansas, they just keep finding ways to lose. They were very competitive in this game, and they just couldn't get it done.
Yeah. Sam Pittman, Jackson's piling on Sam Pittman. If Sam Pittman wins the game at Auburn, I think he'll be all right for a while, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, I don't know if his seat's hotter than before the loss because, I mean, they were competitive. I mean, they were a bigger underdog than what they lost, than by the score that they lost. So, I mean, it wasn't that bad. But Dave Valensky says, I don't remember when Arkansas was relevant. They were relevant with KJ Jefferson. They were relevant a couple years ago when they had KJ Jefferson, Traylon Burks. I mean, they were good that year.
They had some good years with Bobby Petrino. I think they made the Sugar Bowl one year against Ohio State.
I mean, obviously, they weren't as good that season with KJ Jefferson, Traylon Burks as they've been in the past, but it was still, they were back, kind of. But, yeah, I mean, you're right, Will, on that. I mean, they've had their moments, but Jackson says before we know it, Arkansas.
I don't know, man. Arkansas
they've
looked better than some. They've looked better than a lot of SEC teams so far.
I mean, like I said, that's why I don't think that, in my opinion, that Sam Pittman's seat's hotter than before because this wasn't a bad performance overall. They just didn't win.
They do have a tough schedule, but I can see them beating Auburn and A&M. They'll probably beat Auburn, maybe beat A&M. I don't know. It will be tough to see them getting to 6 wins, though.
You think 5 and 7 is enough for him to get another year?
It should be. I don't know. I mean, I could see them springing an upset on LSU. So they might get to 6, but I think 6 is their ceiling.
Last year or the year before, I keep getting that confused. Do you remember that game with LSU? It was 2 years ago, right? Where it was 13-10 or whatever. They almost beat him a couple years ago. So yeah, I mean Arkansas, they've been competitive the past few years. It's just the fact they can't win, right? They can't win these games. They've been close at times. But yeah, I think it was in 2022, if I recall. I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2022, but that game was close. Yeah, 13-10, because that was the game before. Was it? It was close to that Texas A&M game, right? That LSU blew it, and that's why. Remember, they would have had a shot with 2 losses to make the playoff, but then they blew it against A&M. So yeah, but they barely beat Arkansas though. That was this telling sign that year. But yeah, Jackson says Arkansas beat LSU in 2021. That was the year they had Traylon Burks and KJ Jefferson. They were good that year. But yeah, Arkansas hasn't been a dumpster fire like they were 10 years ago, but they just haven't been good the past couple years.
Yeah, they're definitely better than the Chad Morris years. I still don't think they should have I still think firing Brett Bielema was a bad decision.
Yeah, that was a weird firing. It was weird. Didn't really give him a chance.
Kansas State and Tulane. Tulane looks like they're going to be all right without Michael Pratt and the coach, Willie Fritz. They might be all right this year. Or maybe Kansas State's not as good as we thought. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I was going to say that. Like, it's really hard still to tell at this point in the season if a team's good or not, right? Like, you could say this is good for Tulane, but it also might mean that K-State's not all that good either. Because, like, we'll find out a lot about K-State in their next game. Because, I mean, Tulane, no Willie Fritz, no Michael Pratt. They're expected to be a lot worse. But, hey, they look good in this game overall. So, that's impressive enough. But we'll see. We'll see what they look like. We'll see what they look like Kansas State this coming up week. And that will kind of determine probably how both these teams are. Like Hummus said, maybe both teams are good. That could be true, but only time will tell. That's why we love college football, because we get to learn about these teams week over week, and by the end, you know if a team was good or bad. You can tell.
Luke Altmaier. Is this a new Luke Altmaier? No interceptions in a game against a ranked team.
I'll say it could be a new Luke Altmaier, but I also will say that this was the worst game that Jalen Daniels has ever played. What was that?
Yeah. That was rough from him.
Were you shocked that he played that bad? I was.
Yeah, I was surprised.
He's never had that bad of a game. I don't think he's ever thrown 3 picks in a game. He threw 3 interceptions in that game.
Illinois was definitely better at the lines of scrimmage, for sure. They were getting after him.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I will say that Illinois' defense. I mean, I won't say that it's 2022 good or anything, but it might be close to that because they did give Jalen Daniels fits. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jalen Daniels has been hurt a lot. Could he be regressing? That's the thing. We see with a lot of quarterbacks where they're really good. He had a lot of fans, a lot of backers, right? Jalen Daniels was really, really good when he was in. Kansas was great. When he was out, Jason Bean did enough, right, to make him still competitive. But, Jalen Daniels has been hurt a lot. I mean, is it catching up with him? Like Phil Dracovic and some other guy. I don't know. I don't want to say that, but I've never seen him play this bad in a game. I know Illinois' defense was good, but he looked bad, really bad, and I was shocked.
Arizona were they looking ahead of, I guess, Northern Arizona? We're not sure.
I don't know what's going on with Arizona. I still think the loss of Jed Fish is bad for them. I really think that hurt, because if he stayed and they didn't lose the few players they did lose to Washington, they didn't lose everybody. Obviously, they kept McMillan and Fafita, but they did lose some players. If they still had Fish, they still had all those players, they'd be better. They'd be a better football team right now. They'd be a lot better. They're not looking all that good right now, because against New Mexico, they gave up a ton of points. And then against Northern Arizona, they couldn't score a lot of points. So that Kansas State game is going to be interesting for both.
If they both play like they did in their wins, maybe they'll win. We'll see.
Yeah. Absolutely. But, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, that New Mexico game, they scored a ton of points, but they gave up 30-something. And then in this game, they couldn't score at all. And Fafita only threw for 173, which is horrible for him. So, I don't know. I just feel like when Jed Fish left, I'm like, Arizona, they're going to be good. but they're not going to be as good as what they could have been this year.
Iowa gave this game away to Iowa State.
I should have picked the Cyclones, man.
Yeah,
I was going back and forth. I should have backed the Cyclones. Why did I not do it? I did it in 2022, and they made me look good. I should have done it. Even Jackson pulling the proof up. I should have picked Iowa State. I'm upset I didn't pick Iowa State. It's ridiculous, man. Iowa, you let me down. And all those Iowa people out there said they were going to go 11-1. Well, you know what? You're not going 11-1 now. You're not. Absolutely not.
Do you think that Iowa State can be competitive in the Big 12?
Jackson says he hopes it can be a rematch in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. That's a good question. I mean, Iowa State, I feel like Matt Campbell's got them in a weird place right now. They're not bad, but they're not where they were when they had the good season, right? When they went 11-2. They're in between. It might be another 7-5 year. Kind of like last year they went 7-6. But Iowa, man, I mean, they scored 40 against Illinois
Johnson
State.
Played well. We'll give them that. Caleb Johnson did play well.
He's good. I think he's a good running back. I think he's solid. But I don't understand. I don't understand why Iowa fans feel like I just don't understand why they thought they were going to go 11-1. I know their schedule wasn't that bad. I think I picked them to go like 9-3. Or something like that. I can't remember my prediction. With Jackson, I'm sure he'll probably remember because I'm sure he's got all the links. Jackson is the link master, absolutely. But the thing is that I either said 9-3 or 10-2. But now, if I did say 10-2, then I'm seriously questioning that because they're not going to beat Ohio State. If they beat Ohio State, then something's wrong after this. Something's absolutely wrong. But I'll be shocked if they won the rest of their games besides the Ohio State game after this. I would be shocked because I thought they'd win this year. I thought with the improved offense, supposedly, the defense is still good. I thought they'd win this one. And it sucks. And I hate it for RC. He's got this little crying face because I'm roasting Iowa right now. I'm sorry, Iowa. But you let me down. I picked you to win. I can't stand when my gut told me to pick Iowa State. My gut told me to pick him, but I'm like, no, I was better. They've taught me into it. They got 40 points. They can score now. Nope, they can't. They still aren't that good. They blew the game. And it's freaking pitiful, like Jackson said. Absolutely. Come on, Iowa. You let me down. This was tragic, man. Absolutely tragic. Just like RC says.
Cade McNamara, man, come on. You take care of the ball, Cade. Like, just be a game manager. Don't make
do what Luke Altmaier did. Okay, Jackson said I had him going 9-3. Okay, that's still achievable, maybe. Okay, so I didn't give too much credit. But they're going to lose to Ohio State. They should. And then I don't know what the rest of their schedule is, but I mean, I'm sure they'll probably drop another game in there somewhere. At Minnesota. Well, Minnesota's not great. They usually beat them. Wow, that's oof. I mean, Nebraska. Yeah, their schedule's just easy, though. That's why I had them going 9-3. It's just easy. I mean, if they don't go 9-3, then they're bad because that's an easy schedule. They have the easiest schedule in the Big Ten besides maybe Rutgers. I know Rutgers is real easy as well. Iowa was gifted a very lucky schedule in their first divisionless Big Ten schedule. I mean, that's great. Look at that. That's just easy. Yeah, RC said just when you think you're going to win a game, the rug got pulled out from under us. I cannot believe that Iowa blew that game. The thing is they normally take care of business against the Cyclones. Like 2022 was a blip. And the only reason I picked Iowa State that year, to be honest, was because of the fact I was just annoyed at how bad Iowa was offensively. I'm like, you know what? Iowa State's going to win. I wouldn't say I just picked it randomly, but I was like, I'm just going Iowa State. And then this time, I'm like, I was going to get it done. And nope, I don't know. Iowa's just not better still. It's not better. They're not better.
Is Louisville better than they were last year, do you think? Tyler Shugg lit it up.
It's a good question, man. It's a good question. I mean, the thing was, this game was close for a while, so I was a little concerned for Louisville. It was close for a while, but then they blew the doors off eventually. I don't know. RC said, did I miss you guys clowning Notre Dame? Yeah, we did. We did talk about Notre Dame. We did get through that. Me and Will, I try to be gracious for Will. I really did. But, man, I'm annoyed at Notre Dame right now. They did it again. They let us all down again. Everybody was believing in them, and then they just completely blowed it. They've blown another game, screwed the pooch. It's just insane that they keep doing this. I don't understand it. I just don't get why every single year Notre Dame gets us to believe in them and they just fall apart. It sucks. Now, eventually just get to the point where it's like, yeah, they're going to blow it every year. I hope that's not the case. I want Marcus Freeman to figure it out. But, yeah, we definitely talked about them. But to answer your question on Louisville, I do think that Louisville is possibly about the same, if not a little bit better. But like Jackson said, we're going to find out a lot more about them when they start playing better opponents. But, I mean, Jacksonville State was decent. They were good last year, not starting out so well this year, but Louisville's taking care of business. That's all you can ask for. But I do think they look pretty good.
All right. Dave, excited for Dave, excited for Louisville fans. Looks like they're going to probably at least win 8 games this year. Maybe go back to the ACC championship to face Miami this time. That'll be fun. And they can make it back to that.
Oh, my gosh. RC, I'm sorry to interrupt, Will, but RC always bringing the puns, man. Always bringing it. If Marcus keeps it up, he's going to be.
Oh, my gosh.
What in the world, man? That's hilarious, man. That is hilarious.
Yeah, I'm excited for that Louisville-Miami game. That's going to be a fun game in the ACC. Also,
that will be a good game for sure, and it will definitely further prove if Miami can win that maybe they're actually legitimately not going to blow games this year. They're going to have a good season, right? Like they're taking every opponent seriously. This is a new Mario Cristobal-led Miami team. I still don't trust them yet, though, at all. But if they can beat Louisville and continue to win against their also like Notre Dame, very easy schedule, not blow games, that'll be huge for Miami.
I'm still not over this freaking loss. Okay. Georgia Tech, Syracuse. Kyle McCord.
It's unfortunate that it keeps getting brought up, man. It's so unfortunate.
Yeah. Kyle McCord for Syracuse. How about that? Ohio State missing him already.
I don't think Ohio State fans are going to be willing to admit that they miss him just yet. But you know in their mind, especially if Will Howard has a game that's not all that good, they're going to be like, man, Jeffrey was right. All these people were right. We should have kept Kyle McCord because I kept saying McCord wasn't all that bad. I'm like, no, Jeffrey, he sucks. Kyle McCord's terrible. And I'm like, no, he's not that bad. You just think he's really bad. I don't think he's that bad. But no, Ohio State fans were sick of him. I honestly thought he was okay, but it's what it is. I will say, though, I think you picked Syracuse, right?
I don't remember who I picked.
I think you did. I think I picked Georgia Tech. Or who picked what? I honestly can't remember now that I think. Because I know we picked differently on this game. This was one of the only games that we picked differently. I can't remember.
Jackson, can you help us out again, buddy?
Yeah, Jackson's got to help here. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I don't write my scores down half the time. I just pick and then go. But I can't remember. All I know is we did pick differently on this one, but I thought I'm the one that went Georgia Tech and you're the one that went Syracuse. I believe that I said that. But if Jackson can find a fantastic. If not, it's okay. But definitely appreciate it if you can. But I will say that this game was entertaining. It was a good game. And McCord throwing for that many yards and touchdowns, good for him. Good for him. All the doubters, all the haters for McCord, good for him. And maybe Syracuse will actually have success with Fran Brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and this also makes Florida State look worse, too, to be honest. I'm sorry. I just have to say that. This makes Florida State look even worse.
Mm-hmm. Sure, Jason's still watching the debate. We'll see if he comes in later, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, because if he was here, he would not have liked that comment.
Mm-hmm. How about Cade Klubnik throwing for 378 yards? They finally got Brian Wesco involved. I know the guys on the Clemson show were like, this guy needs to be more involved in the offense. He had a good game. Happy for Clemson fans.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, maybe App State's not as good as they've been some years, right? Where they've knocked off, good teams like Michigan or A&M, if you want to say that was a good win. But I will say that Clemson, they, on offense anyway, looked dominant, which is what they needed to have after that horrible performance against Georgia, which is understandable. Georgia's Georgia, but still, like 3 points, they didn't do anything. So this was refreshing for Clemson. And honestly, one of the best offensive performances they've had in years. And they haven't really been the best offensive team the past 3 years. So this was good to see. They gave up 20, which I don't know what that speaks to their defense. But at least offensively, it could put to ease some Clemson fans, it's their minds at ease that maybe they're not going to suck this year. That they can still have a good season overall, maybe win the ACC. I mean, I wasn't expecting. I mean, me, you, and Jackson, if I recall, all said App State was going to cover. They definitely didn't. So that's good for Clemson.
Max Brosmer for Minnesota, they played better. And
I mean, it's Rhode Island, but you need to have a performance like this. At least it shows Minnesota's not completely anemic on offense.
Rutgers, Athen Kaliak-Manis looking better. So happy for them. Yeah,
I mean, gave up 17. It's a little bit interesting there, but they scored a lot, and their running backs were dominant. So
Pitt beat Cincinnati. Good win for Pitt. Eli Holstein played well.
Yeah, and I picked Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think we both picked Cincy.
I picked Brendan Sorsby to get it done. Congratulations to Pittsburgh. I can't say it's a good win because I don't know how bad either of these teams are. They could be really, really bad. So, I'll just say that it's a win that Pat Narduzzi needed, and maybe I can give him some momentum. But, yeah, neither team I don't think is great, though.
Unfortunately, Merrimack lost to UConn badly.
I'm very glad we didn't pick Merrimack, Will. Just very glad we didn't do it. That'll look bad in retrospect.
Memphis beat up on Troy.
And they got a really interesting game coming up against Florida State that everybody wants to know. What are we going to pick? We'll get to that. But that's going to be interesting. That's going to be really interesting. I don't know what the spread is. FSU's favored by 6.5. Okay, we'll get to that one. Florida Atlantic having a worse performance against Army than they did against Michigan State. Weird.
Interesting. A&M got the win.
It's good for
Kent State. Oh, Kent State losing to St. Francis. That's a rough loss.
That's ugly. That does not look good. I don't know how much they were favored by, but that does not look good.
I know. I'm pretty sure St. Francis doesn't give out scholarships, so that's rough.
Yeah, you can't lose to a team that doesn't give scholarships. That's just abysmal. Auburn.
How?
Auburn, you suck. You absolutely suck when you're playing bad teams. Why? Because I know for sure when they play Alabama, they're going to give it 110%. They're going to keep it close. What is wrong with Auburn? And people are like, oh, they're just bad. They suck. Well, you know what? They do suck because they don't try. Why? You're on your own field, Jordan freaking Hare, and you blow it against Cal. I can't even say again because Cal blew it last year. But my goodness, what is wrong with Auburn? Yeah, Auburn blew it again because he did it against New Mexico State last year. This isn't as embarrassing of a loss, but I don't know what to say anymore. I'm done picking Auburn in these mid games. They're not going to win these games.
Did you see Peyton Thorne? Do you know what Venmo is?
Venmo?
Mm-hmm.
You talking about like Cash App and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of Venmo, yeah.
So someone found Peyton Thorne's Venmo. And everyone was requesting him money for the bets that they lost. Because they thought it was his fault.
Oh my goodness.
So give me the money that I bet to. And
he didn't respond to that, did he?
No.
Okay. I was about to say I don't think he's gonna even bother saying anything about that. I mean, that's funny right there. Mm-hmm. They found his Venmo. Oh my gosh, that's funny. I will say that Peyton Thorne is not that good. He was only good with Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker made him look good, and then Jayden Reed, Jalen Naylor. Because he isn't all that, man. He's not.
Fernando Mendoza.
Dave Gillespie says California has been horrible for years. They haven't been good since the Lions played for them. Yeah, they weren't even that good when Jared Goff was there.
They weren't
good, even that good then. They
were good when they had Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, they were ranked then. When they had Jared Goff, like they were barely making a bowl game. So yeah.
They should have never fired the coach that was at Fresno State. Not anymore. You're retired. I can't think of his name.
Tedford.
Yeah, they fired Jeff Tedford and they replaced him with Sonny Dykes, who didn't do well there. And then Will Cox has been pretty mid. They definitely aren't where they were. They should.
Oh yeah, Justin Wilcox is like the definition of mid. You can't get any more mid than Wilcox.
But do you think Fernando Mendoza? Do you think that he'll be drafted after?
Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks, that are vying for the draft, like always. So, I mean, you're gonna have Ewers, you're gonna have Milroe, you're gonna have Dylan Gabriel. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of quarterbacks. Shadur Sanders. It's gonna be tough to crack. Like the only so many teams need quarterbacks. I feel like the quarterback, rotation is getting over, filled in the NFL. There's only so many spots, right? Because I mean, you have one starter, a couple backups, maybe. I don't think he's bad. I don't think. I mean, he's not terrible or anything, but there's just a lot of quarterbacks vying for draft spots for teams. So we'll see. I think he has a chance, but not a high one.
Let's look at Cal's schedule. So they play San Diego State this week, and then they go to Florida State next week.
State. Oh my God! What? Imagine Florida State's 0-4. Okay. I mean, you've got Oregon State, and you've got Stanford. I mean, I can see them winning 6 games. It's possible. Maybe.
Maybe you don't think they'll.
I could also see them going 5-7, but I mean, they could beat Stanford. Beat Wake or SMU or even Florida State at 6. It was just one of those. I mean, I can see them going 5-7 or 6-6, 7-5 at best, maybe. Maybe.
You don't see them competing for like 8.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but I just think Auburn Cal beat Auburn because Auburn just doesn't try. That's the problem. I mean, I don't think Cal's great, but I mean it was an impressive win, but still Auburn does this all the time. And this was even worse here. The real MVP's team, Kentucky.
Brock Vandergrift, not good.
Yeah, what's so funny, Will, is that everybody's saying that, oh, well, Kentucky's going to keep it close against Georgia because Brock Vandegrift's going to be out against his former team. He's the one that left for one, okay? Like, okay, who cares, right? I mean, oh, he's got it out for his former team. It's like, dude, you just lost 31-6 to South Carolina. You remember that guy? You showed me that dude. You showed me that guy in his car, whoever he was, that South Carolina fan.
Carolina jackpot.
That guy. You showed me that guy. He was ranting about South Carolina. Oh, we suck. We're horrible. We can't throw. We can't pass. Well, look at him now. That's still not great. Their quarterback still isn't that good, but they blew out Kentucky.
It was funny when his stream got cut off for some reason, and then when he started the stream again, he was all angry because he missed the pick six. It was funny.
Oh, that's hilarious. Man, all I know is that Kentucky is bad. Wow. I mean, would you have ever thought this? We both picked Kentucky to win.
We both picked Kentucky to cover.
Yeah, they were favored by like 10, right? Weren't they favored by like 10? I mean, this was one of the biggest swings when it comes to spreads. Literally. I mean, we're talking like they were favored by 10 and they lost by 25. Yeah, this was one of the results that shocked me the most this week. I don't know, like Tennessee beating NC State as much as they did was kind of a shock, but this was shocking.
Auburn.
So, good win for South Carolina. I was just saying I would have never thought Kentucky would have lost this game by this much to South Carolina on their own field. I would have never thought that. I thought they would have won. But even if they lost, it'd been close. This was embarrassing, and they better look better against Georgia, or they're gonna get destroyed. They're probably gonna get destroyed anyway. They're really gonna get destroyed. And it wouldn't surprise me if Kentucky did play hard though and kind of try to make it interesting. But why didn't you try in this game? Have you noticed though? I will say I don't know if it's because social media or people get distracted. I don't know what it is, but have you noticed though that it seems like there's bigger swings with teams these days? Like, have you noticed that for some reason? Like, I know there's always been swings. Like, sometimes teams just have a bad game, but why? Why is it so knee-jerking? Like Notre Dame, Kentucky here. Like, if Kentucky somehow kept it close against Georgia right after doing this, why? Auburn with New Mexico State versus Bama. Why is this happening so much? Where teams one week will like crap, and then the next week they go out there and they play like they're a top 5 team. It doesn't even make any sense. I don't understand it.
Michigan State and Maryland. Michigan State won in a near empty. I forgot what they call their stadium now. But
I told you that the stadium that we don't know the name of doesn't have any fans. I'm dogging Maryland fans out, man. I'm like, show up to your games. Your fans are non-existent.
The students all left at halftime. Yeah, I was looking on Twitter about Maryland fans angry about their people not being at the game.
Well, the thing is if they had stayed, like they probably would have had a better chance to win. Your fans do impact games, right? Like they make a difference. I don't understand why their fans are so awful. I mean, they're bad. Like they're non-existent half the time. And I know like Michigan State's not a great opponent or anything, but still, like you lost to them, so you're no better. I mean, we both picked Maryland, I believe. So. Yeah, this was disappointing for Maryland, and it kind of goes against the standard, like Jackson said, of Maryland starting out well and then they fall apart, like in October, November, all that kind of stuff. Like no, like now they're falling apart in September, so it could be a long year for the Terps. Could be a long year, and like Scotty B said, teams lose focus on one game and play a ton better the following game. I understand that, I get that. Sometimes your focus ain't there, but why? I mean. This game matters too. Every game matters. You should give it 110% every game. I just don't get why some players just lose focus. It seems like some coaches and some players just do a better job of staying focused.
So a good start for Michigan State. Boston College, look at all those fans at Boston College. The fans are starting to come in for them.
Hey, it's because of Bill O'Brien. And again, Castellanos is good. He's not great, but he's good. He's not a fantastic passer, but he's good enough, and he can run. And if Jason was here, I wish Jason was here, but if he was here, I will say it again. Boston College is better this year. They're better this year. They look better this year. They're doing what they need to be doing. Not like last year, blowing games against like Holy Cross or whatever. Like they look better this year, and they need to continue to do that. And if they do, I'll continue to say that Boston College is good. They're better than last year because they just were horrible last year, terrible. They look a lot better since Bill O'Brien's there. And again, Jeff Apley got out at a good time when he did.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about your Tar Heels against Charlotte?
It's a mid result, right? I mean, they scored enough points. Like, okay, well, their offense is still all right, but they gave up enough points where I'm like, the defense isn't all right. It was okay, right? Like, they didn't barely win.
Same old Carolina.
They didn't win by enough, Like, this needed to be 45-10 or 45-7. Not 38-20. It just doesn't look as good, right? Connor Harrell, 219, 2 touchdowns, so we know he can throw, but Charlotte's also bad. Like, I would be shocked if Indiana, the way they're playing right now, let Charlotte keep it this close when they play, because Indiana plays Charlotte in week 4. North Carolina, I mean, I've said it all the whole time, even when they had Max Johnson. Still, and like in the preseason, I'm like, North Carolina's just going to be okay this year. They're going to be mid. They might make a bowl game. They might go 6-6, 7-5. They're not going to be that good. Their defense is still not great. Their offense is not going to be as good as it was last year. And now that Max Johnson's gone, they got a guy that's sketchy at best passing, and he likes to fumble a lot. So we'll see. Carolina probably will maybe make a bowl game, but this wasn't a great result. At least they won, but. And Scotty B's right. Wyoming is hot garbage.
Sad for Wyoming. Sad for those.
They miss Craig Bowl badly.
Yeah. Good start for Navy.
Yeah. Good win over Temple. Temple's a far cry from where they were with Matt Rule. They're bad.
Hokies won. Marshall's quarterback was bad. Hokies didn't play that well, but they.
Yeah, and UTSA's dead as well. Yeah. Did you see UTSA? They're.
Although everyone's saying Texas State's a dark horse to make the playoff as the group of 5 team, so that'll be interesting to see if they'll make it.
Yeah, it's crazy too because TJ Finley was their quarterback last year, and he went to Western Kentucky, and now they got Jordan McLeod, who was at James Madison.
Interesting. A little quarter
to Indiana. He went to State. He didn't. If I cut out there, Jordan McLeod did not follow Kurt Signetti to Indiana. He went to Texas State, and he's an underrated quarterback. He's good. Yeah. So they might have a shot. They're going to be good this year. Yeah, but I agree with you on Marshall. Yeah, that was not a good performance.
If I do get to win.
Look at that performance. Florida International. Indiana beat them 31-7. Could have been more. They beat Central Michigan 52-16.
There you go.
Making Indiana looking good, man.
ECU 2-0. So happy for your sister.
Yeah, East Carolina, I will say, right? Like, they're not good, but 2-0. Better than last year.
Do you think they can make a bowl?
I don't know. I don't know what their schedule is. I haven't looked at it honestly, but it depends on who they play. I know the American Conference isn't all that tough, but
they got App State this week, so that'll be fun.
Okay, it's gonna be a hard game.
Liberty's not gonna be easy.
No, they probably won't win. UTSA could be since they're not good. Doesn't seem. Charlotte's not good. Florida Atlantic struggling. Temple's not great. It's possible. Possible. Now, I wouldn't bet on it or anything. I'm not like 100% sure, but it's definitely they could make one, and that'd be big for ECU.
DJ Lagway looks good for Florida, but Sanford's horrible. So we'll see.
Sanford's bad, but it looks like, and I kind of did say this that at the beginning of the season that Florida's ceiling might be higher if DJ Lagway comes in and plays well versus Graham Mertz. I did say that when I made my prediction for Florida going 4-8. I'm like, if they have any chance of exceeding this, it probably is because DJ Lagway comes in and does well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good sign that he played well. It's a bad team, but at least he didn't look bad.
Mm-hmm. Coastal beat William and Mary.
They're 2-0, and Western Kentucky turned it around, so both good wins. I think Coastal's all right. They're not as good as they used to be, but they're okay.
Stanford won.
That's a good win. I mean, they took care of business. Virginia and Wake. I picked Wake.
Wake blew it. Oh, Wake. Wake blew it, man.
I picked Wake Forest too. I did. This is a dumpster fire of a game. It was on the CW, right? Was this the CW one?
I don't think so.
It was
ACC network.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was the CW game. But yeah,
and Calandria both played well.
That's true. Calandria looks like he's getting better. He used to be very turnover prone. It looks like he's getting better. But yeah, I mean, you can't ask for more from Bachmeyer, 403 yards, but they blew it at the end. It was an entertaining game at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to pick between two teams that are bad, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it just really is.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Scotty. Wake Forest can forget making a bowl game. And Hummus Hero, he said it, not me. Indiana's a juggernaut all of a sudden. Wow. I didn't think I'd ever see that sentence in my life. So hopefully it continues. Clay Helton got a win.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Wilson didn't get a win for Tulsa. Rice, food, destruction.
Food.
Wow. Vanderbilt.
Vandy.
55 zip. And here we go. Dion Primetime Sanders not ready for primetime yet again. Unbelievably bad performance from Colorado. The fact that Nebraska didn't even score a point in the second half. They didn't even score a point in the second half. Nebraska peaked out at halftime, and they tanked. Colorado couldn't even make it interesting. Shedeur Sanders is talented, but, man, the team's pretty bad, man.
What do you think of Dylan Raiola looking like having the Patrick Mahomes look? And doing it Patrick Mahomes like pre-game stuff that he does before the games for the Chiefs.
You were talking about Dylan Raiola, right? I cut out for a sec. Yeah, it's interesting. He's
trying to be Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, maybe he thinks if you can channel it, his inner Patrick Mahomes, that he'll end up being as good as Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if it will work. But I mean, hey, you got to give him credit for trying something new. You remember when J.J. McCarthy was doing that meditation stuff or whatever? That was just killing me. Like, he would meditate before the games. Like, I get it. Hey, I mean, you got to empty your mind or whatever. And, it kind of like SpongeBob, right? That one episode is like fine dining and breathing. Like, empty your mind of everything else. Like, if you do that, sometimes you can really think. You get all the worries out and all that. But at the same time, I mean, sometimes it can just be a gimmick too, right? Like, you think it works, but it's tricking your brain, right? It's tricking your brain into thinking that it works. But at the end of the day, like, whether you perform bad or not, like, it's up to you. Like, you can't make the mistakes. I'm not saying they don't work, but it is a personal thing. But maybe he believes that, like I said, if he does that, he'll be good. But I don't know why Nebraska didn't score in the second half, but they did good enough in the first half that they won comfortably. So it was one of the best wins for Nebraska in a while. They haven't won a whole lot. And I will also say that it's the first time they're 2-0 since 2016. 8 years. So it's good for Nebraska that they're still undefeated. Haven't been in a while.
Yeah, Shiloh got hurt. This is Shiloh's last year, though. So this will probably be Deion's last year at Colorado. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a mess, man. I mean, the thing is, like, you can't. Miles says you better watch and talk about prime time. I'm here now. Appreciate you for stopping by, Austin. Yeah, I mean, Colorado's just bad though, man. They're just really bad. Like, I think I said they were going to go 5-7 this year. It could be worse. I don't know. I mean, they're just not good. They're just flat out not a good football team.
Texas is second. I knew Ohio State was. I knew Mark's fond of that. That was when Ohio State was bad under Cooper. They eventually
Yeah,
got
I know. That was the last time in that era when Indiana beat Ohio State was in the late 80s. Ohio State was not very good from like 87 to 90, 91, and then they got better again.
Notre Dame was taking all the recruits then, but eventually Cooper turned it around.
Oh, yeah, definitely Ohio State's getting the best players these days.
Washington State, big win for the two-pack.
Impressive.
Big win
Texas
for the
Tech,
two-pack.
they didn't look good against Abilene at all, right? Like, they barely won that game. They're not very good this year, I don't think. Like you said, great for the two-pack. But I do think Texas Tech is pretty bad. Especially on defense. Yeah, there you go. I said it like a split second before I saw the comment. They have a horrible defense. You're not going to be good if you have a horrible defense. Like we've seen like with Carolina and with Drake May and Caleb Williams at USC and Jayden Daniels at LSU. Even when you got a great quarterback, right? If your defense is bad, and I mean really bad, you're only going to be able to win so much. The problem with Texas Tech, their offense is not good enough like those teams, and their defense is still that bad. So they're going to have a long season. Yeah, this is another bad thing for Michigan. Look at Fresno State. Struggling with Sacramento State. And Michigan struggled with them. That's what I'm saying. I know people don't like doing this, but when you compare how a team that you beat, not by much, struggles against another team that's not that good, it makes you look worse.
Liberty struggling a bit. They might not go undefeated this year.
Yeah, they're probably worse this season, but New Mexico State has been decent, past few years. So, but yeah,
Arizona
Liberty
State beating Mississippi State.
This was their first win against an SEC team ever.
Really? They never won one when they were good in the 90s?
Nope. I saw it on screen.
Really...
That's the only reason I know, because I watched this game, and they said on the graphic that Arizona State was their first win against an SEC opponent ever.
Wow. That's surprising. I guess
first win against an SEC
Plummer...
opponent of all time. I don't even know how that's even possible. Like, you would think they would have won at least once before.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Jake Plummer never played against them, the SEC.
Yeah, it's wild. Mississippi State, though, is not very good, though.
Scadaboo was good for Arizona State. He'll definitely be in the NFL. Running back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they had a good running back before when Eno Benjamin, when he was there, and they had Jayden Daniels. He was pretty solid. Like, Arizona State's had good running backs before. So, yeah, I mean, he looks good. But, yeah, like Jackson said, Mississippi State's awful. I mean, I think Arizona State's decent. I actually think they're better this year. Kenny Dillingham's second season, they're better, but Mississippi State is pretty bad.
Oregon State, two-pack, 4-0. 4-0 for
the two-pack is out to prove that they belong in the Big 12. I know it's not about performance. It's about money and fans and all that sorts of stuff. But please put Oregon State and Washington State in the Big 12. I will lobby for it forever. Yeah, I'm rooting for Mississippi State too, also because of Mike Leach, but they're not going to be good anytime soon. I highly doubt that. They're not going to be good. It's sad.
All right.
If he was still alive, they'd be good. It's a shame.
We're on to week 3.
And I'm changing the banner. I've been on top of the banner. After last week when I had what is wrong with Florida State, all the whole time on there. I changed the banners. We're updating it this time.
All right, this is a fun Thursday night game. Arizona State going to Texas State.
This is a good game. These are the type games that I love right here. You got a Big 12, almost a Pac-12. Forgot they're dead. Big 12 team going on the road to play Texas State with Jordan McLeod, former James Madison quarterback. Texas State looks like they're still going to be really good this year, maybe even better than they were with TJ Finley. Probably going to be better than they were with TJ Finley because Jordan McLeod's a better quarterback. So, yeah, Texas State, that environment, that little environment is going to be rocking and rolling. Arizona State favored by 1.5. I'm going to let you pick first.
Can they stop the run of Arizona State? That's because they just ran over Mississippi State.
I agree.
It would be fun if Texas State won, but I just think that the lines of scrimmage, like the Power 5 lines of scrimmage, will help Arizona State win this one. I'll go 31-28 Sun Devils.
Scotty B saying he's going Texas State because it's at Texas State. It's a tough road game for Arizona State, but they have looked pretty good. James Madison. Jordan McLeod was really good at James Madison. I'll go Arizona State 28-27. I hope I'm not wrong. I think Texas State's going to make it really interesting, but I will go with Arizona State. They've looked a little bit too good to start the season. I think they'll keep it rolling, but that's not going to be an easy game. I'll go Arizona State 28-27.
I think that he's probably going to Baylor. That's my guess.
That's a good spot for him. I could see that happening.
Maybe Colorado. Maybe he'll try to go for the bigger job in Boulder.
Sorry, yeah, I love how Will's like Dion.
Sorry, Scotty B, but Colorado's won. They've had more success than Baylor, but Baylor's been better this century.
Yeah, like everybody's like Dion's done now. It's funny.
Yeah. Baylor's been better recently, but Colorado has the tainted national championship because the refs freaking had a block in the back, called a block in the back on Notre Dame, which wasn't there. But
Will wasn't even alive, and it still hurts.
Kansas got to be careful not to lose again. They got UNLV coming.
Look at Jalen Daniels' stats: 3 touchdowns, 4 picks to start the year. Something's going on with him. I'm telling you, there's something wrong with Jalen Daniels. He's got to get back to his prior form. He was really good early in his Kansas tenure, but are the injuries catching up with him? Is he starting to regress like other quarterbacks that have been injured a lot? I hope that's not the case. That being said, it's at home. UNLV, they are better now with Barry Odom, but I will go with Kansas to win 31-20. I think they'll get back on track, but they're not going to win by a whole lot. But Jalen Daniels, I just want to see a good game from him this year.
I'm thinking upset. I don't know. UNLV didn't have the good end to their season, but they had a good season last year. I could see an upset here. It's in Children's Mercy and in Kansas City, which is interesting. They're putting it at the soccer stadium in Kansas City, which will be interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a cool thing there. Did you already make your pick? Because I cut out for a second.
I said, UNLV. I wouldn't be shocked if UNLV won. But I'm going to go with the safe pick and pick only holds 1,800. That could help the atmosphere at Kansas. For sure. Because they'll actually be sold out. But I'll go with Scotty B. I'll tell Scotty B saying that Jeff Grimes isn't good. I'll go 28-14 Kansas.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. If it was Kansas from last year, I'd be more confident, but they're looking to shake you out of the gate. But I do think at the end of the day, they'll get the win. Hummus Hero, the best game of the weekend might be the Friday night game.
It's the only game between 2 ranked teams. I think
Arizona, Kansas State on Fox at night. This is going to be a great game. I will say, though, both teams have had their moments to start the year. Arizona's been shaky on offense and on defense against two inferior opponents, but they're 2-0. Kansas State struggled against Tulane. How good is Tulane? We have no idea. Avery Johnson, though, he's talented, but he's still young. Noah Fafita, really good quarterback, but McMillan, we know what he is. But the problem is Jed Fish is gone, and they just don't look as good. That right there worries me for Arizona. They just do not look as good as they could have been if Jed Fish did not leave for the Washington job and they still had all their other players that left. They are an inferior team now, and I think it could catch up with them. Kansas State, though, is, like I said, a little bit shaky as well, but it is on their own field. That's going to be a good atmosphere. What are your thoughts on this one?
If this was at Kansas, I would consider pick. I mean, if this was at Arizona, I can't freaking talk. If this was at Arizona, I would probably pick Arizona. I'm not going to say they cover in this one, but I'll go 34-31 Kansas State. I think it'll be close, but
yeah, you got Scotty B saying Kansas State wins because it's at home. And then he also said Arizona's slightly worse than Kansas State, in my opinion. And then Jim. Appreciate Jim for stopping by. Says K-State close. In Sports Talk with all says Kansas State has been known to drop weird games, I guess. So, like, out of nowhere games. And I will say Kansas State is not always the most reliable. We've seen them knock off Oklahoma before when Oklahoma was really good, and then they have blown games against teams that they shouldn't. So, do I trust Kansas State? Not fully. Do I trust Arizona? Probably even less so, because they did not look good in their first two games of the season. Though. Game one, their defense was abysmal, right? And in game two, their offense, like Noah Fafita, throwing for under 200 yards in a game, that's bad for Arizona and for Noah Fafita. So I do think Jed Fish leaving, it's a bigger loss than people are really taking into account. I agree with you. If this game was at Arizona, I feel like it would make it much more of a toss-up, right? Like, you'd have to legitimately think, like, who are we going with here? But I think with it being at Kansas State, it makes it a little bit easier. Avery Johnson is still very young, but he's got enough players around him. And Kleiman's a good coach. He is a good coach, and they've had a lot of success under his tenure. They have dropped games like this before. And it is a big spotlight game. Maybe the spotlight gets too big for a young guy in Avery Johnson, but he did look good in the bowl game last year. I think Kansas State will win 34-24. I do think they'll cover. I think they will win by 10. But if this game was at Arizona, I legitimately probably would have been out 50. The game, though, on the one hand, it gives the spotlight to itself, but on the other hand, there isn't really that many big headline games on Saturday, which is frustrating. But this is still going to be a fun game to watch, and the fact that it gets its own spotlight is pretty cool. Yeah, I think Jackson said it is a non-conference game as well. That's what he said. He said, can't believe K-State Arizona will be a non-con game for not just this year, but next year as well. The thing, I think it's weird how sometimes that they have – two teams in the same conference, and it's a non-conference game. Like, one time, North Carolina played an ACC opponent, like Georgia Tech or something, and it was a non-con game. I'm like, why? I don't understand that, but that's just how they do it. It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, big noon, Alabama and Wisconsin.
Here we go. And Alabama is still favored by 16, right? We're talking about a team that did not look that good against South Florida until the very waning minutes of that game. And Wisconsin, I don't know what to make of him. Tyler Van Doms is still not looking like Tyler Van Doms. He's okay, right? Like, he's getting the job done. Wisconsin's getting the job done, but it still doesn't look like the type of offense that Luke Fickell wants. You know, the type of offense that he had at Cincinnati. They haven't achieved that at Wisconsin yet. Camp Randall is going to be rocking and rolling, especially at the beginning of the game. If Alabama does not get a lead on Wisconsin in this game, like by 14 or 17 early in the game, it could get interesting because Wisconsin's fans will stay engaged. If they take the crowd out of the game, Alabama will win this game just fine. I do think Alabama, you could maybe say look ahead. I don't like saying that because you just don't know. Like, look at Indiana. They got a big game coming up this week. They blew the doors off of Western Illinois just fine. So I don't understand that. But I feel like with Alabama, as long as they are focused and they don't overlook Wisconsin, they'll be fine because they're the far superior team. They have way more talent than Wisconsin. That's not the issue. They have more talent than South Florida by a million miles, but at the end of the day, still didn't play that good. So for Alabama, Milroe has to be more focused, throwing the ball better. They got to be able to run the football in this game, and Alabama cannot let the crowd get to them. If they do not let Camp Randall get to them, and they just out-manhandle Wisconsin, which is an inferior football team, I think they will be able to win this game. I'll go with Alabama to win 34-20. I'll give Wisconsin the cover. I'll give them the cover because I'm a little nervous with Alabama. I think they'll show up. I think they'll be ready. I think Kalen DeBoer is going to have them fired up. But it is a noon game, too. It's not a night game, which I think helps Bama. I do think that helps. So I'll go with Alabama by 14.
I think it'll be close at half, but I think Kalen DeBoer will maybe make a few adjustments. And I think Bama will win. I'm kind of pulling for Wisconsin here because John Pius went to my high school and he's a D lineman for Wisconsin, so I hope he has a good game. But I do think Bama will win 34-24.
Yeah, and you got Scotty B saying, give me Alabama by 14. Jim's picking Bama. Jackson's very excited about it. Hummus here says it's an 11 a.m. game local time very early. I mean, yeah, I don't know really how that affects players. I know it affects the crowd because I do feel that night games just add significance. They're just a different vibe, different atmosphere. We got Jackson saying Bama 28, Wisconsin 20. So he's not super confident Bama pulling away. I don't really think many people are going to pick an upset here. But I do think the fact people think it could be close shows that Alabama's on a bit of shaky ground. They're going to have to tune up a lot of things if they're going to have any shot against Georgia coming up soon. Got to get way better. But Alabama, I think, will be fine. But I think Wisconsin will make it interesting, to say the least.
LSU and South Carolina.
Why is game day here, man? Why is game day here? I know South Carolina was impressive against Kentucky, but why in the world is game day here? I mean, there's not a lot of great games to choose from. I get that, and it's on ABC, so it's with ESPN. But, man, I don't understand this one, dude.
I don't get it, man. Like,
it's not that good of a game. I mean, I'm sorry. It's okay. It's fine. But I laugh at this. LSU favored by 7. South Carolina, I mean, they look bad in week 1, look great in week 2. Is that a pattern? I don't know. LSU still a far superior team. They were very competitive with USC, and USC's looking good. They're looking pretty good. Nussmeier hasn't made a lot of mistakes. I think LSU will go on the road and win in Williams-Brice 31-21. I think they'll win.
South Carolina needs to. They need to play well. They need to get their home crowd. They're going to do the.
This would be huge for Beamer.
With the towel.
Yeah, and that rooster, man, that gamecock crowing all game. It's such a pain, man.
Yeah, crowd's going to be into it, but unfortunately, I just think that LSU's receivers will be too good. I'll go 38-20. LSU.
Okay. Yeah, it could be interesting. I think South Carolina will make it interesting, but I think LSU wins in the end.
Here we go. Memphis, Florida State.
All right. This is the game everybody's been wanting to see. I'm telling you, I got a lot of people like, give me the prediction. Give me the pick for this one. Memphis, Florida State. FSU 0-2. It's at home. Didn't matter against BC. So Memphis 2-0 beat Troy. I know Troy's not is good, but also it's because it's the Mike Norvell Bowl. This is his former team. Memphis was his former team, and if they beat him, oh my Lord. I mean, Florida State is looking rough. We got Scotty B back in FSU, but I'm going to let you pick first because I'm legitimately, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking here.
Florida State hasn't looked like they've tried all year.
Will that continue, or will they finally wake up?
I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to go with Memphis. Seth Hennigan's going to have a big game. Florida's line of scrimmage, they aren't going to try again. I'm going to go 38-14 Memphis. Big.
A blowout of mega proportions. I wasn't going to go that much, but you stole the word right out of my mouth. Give me the Memphis Tigers. Give me Seth Hennigan having a big day. Florida State 0-3 on the season. And Mike Norvell, his seat is turning up the heat. I'm going Memphis 28, Florida State 21. I think that Florida State is going to start 0-3. And then they got a big game against Cal to try to not go 0-4.
Oh, man. Memphis is going to be a fun night in Memphis for sure.
Absolutely.
Boston College and Missouri.
BC ranked too, so that adds a little bit of significance here, right? Even though it's still on the SEC network, as these aren't big brands. But Jackson says he hopes Boston College upsets Missouri. Well, that would be crazy. And by the way, like you said, Kansas State, Arizona was the only game between ranked teams before this one became it.
I forget. I didn't know BC. Yeah,
I didn't know they were ranked either. I did not. Because I was like, yeah, you're right, only ranked game. But BC ranked too. Missouri, though, I mean, they've been just too disciplined, man. I mean, they looked good last year. They've looked good so far. I like what Bill O'Brien's building at BC. Again, all credit. I wish Jason was here. I'm making your team. I'm talking good about them. But I think Missouri will win. It's at home. They've looked good the last couple of years. They just have. They haven't really blown games. They've been disciplined. Brady Cook's solid. Trader solid. I think Missouri will win 31-20. BC will cover.
Will BC cover? I'm going to go for... I think Missouri's offense is just too good, man.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't been, like, blowing the doors off of teams, but they've been winning. I think they've been doing just enough to cover. They haven't been blowing the doors off of these teams. It's actually USC, Indiana, the last time Indiana was in the Rose Bowl, Dave.
Yep.
I think. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it said on the image.
Yeah.
I'll go 38-20 Mizzou. I think Mizzou just covers. I just think their offense is too good with Luke Burden, TJ Weiss, Brady Cook at quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think they're going to be too much for Boston College. And I agree with Jackson. Mizzou, BC should be on ABC, not LSU, South Carolina. But LSU is a brand, and that's why it's on ABC. That's not how it works. If you're not a brand team, you're never going to get the coverage and the notoriety of being on a major network. But that game should be on ABC. I agree.
You could be right, Dave. You could be right, but that's just what it said on the description of the image.
Yeah, I know it's Indiana. I knew that Indiana was on there.
The Civil War. Oregon.
And it will always be called the Civil War.
Now this Oregon, if Oregon doesn't show up again and Oregon
They
State
could lose, man. They could lose.
They could lose.
If they still had Jonathan Smith, I'd be picking Oregon State in a heartbeat.
Oh, man.
This is a tough one, man. I mean, Oregon State losing all of what they lost, right? The coach, all those players. I mean, they did beat San Diego State 21-0, but San Diego State's bad now. They're bad. They're nowhere near what they were a few years ago. So, I mean, what can you even make from that? It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. It's in Reeser. But, and plus, Oregon State still might be irritated. Oregon's gone. They're not in the same conference. Might be some bad blood there. Jack said if Oregon State wins, it would help in conference realignment. True. I still think, even though with all the money and everything, if Oregon State, Washington State look good, it will kind of force the Big 12's hand to be like, hey, you got to add us because we're relevant still. And Sports Talk with Austin is correct. The running back for Oregon State is good. Jam Griffin. Great name, by the way. I'm going to go with Oregon to win 28-24. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be down to the wire. But I think Oregon's going to find a way to win again. They're eventually going to lose, but I think they're going to squeak out another one like they've been.
I would love an upset here, man. It would be
Me too. I want Oregon State to win. I'm sorry, Oregon fans. Sorry, Ben, but I want Oregon State to win.
Mm-hmm. I can't do it either, man. I'm going to be kicking myself if the
I mean, it's going to be one of those ones. If Oregon State wins, I'm like, well, same thing with Iowa State. I wish I.
Mm-hmm. I want to pick the Beavs so bad, but I'll go 31-28 Ducks. The 16's too much. 16 is too much.
We got Tim.
What's
we
up,
got Tim in chat. Will, how's it going, Jeffrey? Going great. Glad you're here. Excited football's back, and we're just talking about the Civil War. And he's got go Beavs. He's hoping the Beavs win. I hope they do too. I really do. But I picked Oregon, but I'm like you, Will. I'm be mad if Oregon State wins and I didn't pick them.
All right, let's check out some more of the games. This one, potential upset right here. Tulane and Oklahoma. Oh, the Sooners have not looked good.
That's true. That's a potentially good game right there. I mean, Tulane, they hung with Kansas State, couldn't get it done. But I will say, remember that year when Tulane played Oklahoma with Michael Pratt, and that was a thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that game? That was a thriller, man.
Was that the COVID year?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. It was a fantastic game. I mean, it is at Oklahoma, but hey, it didn't matter against Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, what are you thinking? You think Tulane gets the upset here? I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. But I mean, Oklahoma might wake up though after last week. I don't know. This is tough. I mean, if they didn't have that scare last week, it almost would seem more probable. But like, they had their scare. Maybe they wake up this week. They were way better than Houston, too, and they barely won, Dave. Like, they almost lost.
I'm pulling the trigger.
You going Green Wave.
34-31 Green Wave.
Man, I'm telling you, man. I thought about it. I'm still thinking about it. Oklahoma doesn't look good, man. They don't look good at all. Tulane 28-27. I'll go Tulane too. I'm not trying to pick the same as you every time, man, but I'm going Tulane. Oklahoma looks like garbage. They don't look good at all. I'm going Tulane. I think they get the win in Memorial Stadium.
Mm-hmm. We have the Irish and the Boilermakers.
I don't know what to do here, Will. I don't know what to do. Purdue's not that good, man, but they had a bye as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'll let you have the floor. But Notre Dame, I don't trust them right now at all.
I wouldn't either, Jeffrey. The battle of the unjeweled shillelagh. It's just called the shillelagh, not the jeweled shillelagh. Is the name.
I never knew how to pronounce that. I'm not even going to pretend to try to pronounce it.
It's a very Irish word. It's a very Irish word.
Yeah, I never knew how to say that.
They gave Ara Parsegian, who's a great coach from Notre Dame, he gave them fits for sure. Purdue definitely. That was when Purdue was really good. Although they were good in the late. They were good in the late 70s too, but. Yeah, I think they almost had the winning record against the Irish. It was close. I think they went 6-6 against Arrow. The thing is, Purdue's strength is throwing the ball, and that's where when Notre Dame is best at stopping the pass.
I can't believe Riley Leonard hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet.
No, he hasn't. I'm going to go 31-21 Irish. I think Purdue will score, but I think the Irish will get it done, but it won't be easy.
Scotty says Notre Dame wins by 12. Jackson says, I wouldn't be surprised if Purdue upsets Notre Dame. If Purdue wins, it shows things are in the right direction in West Lafayette and things are in the wrong direction at South Bend. I would say so. If Purdue beats Notre Dame, things are definitely in the wrong direction in South Bend. And then you got Sports Talk with Austin saying, no more losses, Notre Dame. Please, I want Louisville and Notre Dame to be a ranked game. Well, yeah, if Notre Dame loses this game, they're not going to be ranked. Absolutely not. So, yeah, and they haven't had a passing touchdown, which, again, I mean, that was always my biggest concern with Riley Leonard. He's a good quarterback, but he's not a great passer. He can't pass, but I feel like he needs his running game to be going good to open up the passing game. He's like Cam Newton. He's not Cam Newton, but Cam Newton was the same way. Like if he when his run ability went away, he couldn't throw because he never really could. It's just the fact that he needed the defenses to keep it honest with the running game, so then he could pass. I don't trust Notre Dame. The thing is, I think Purdue's not very good. I know they beat Indiana State 49-0, but Indiana State's bad. So I know it's the same thing with Indiana, but still, I just don't think Purdue's that good. I mean, they lost a lot of their best players. I mean, like every player that was any good the past few years, they don't even have anymore. Ross 8 is a underratedly good environment. I'll give props to Purdue fans that they do show up and they can be an imposing environment. And they gave Penn State a good game a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. The thing is, this is going to go one of two ways. Either Notre Dame is just going to be defeated and act like they don't care, like, oh, we blew it, all that, and they're feeling sorry for themselves, and they're going to get beat again, and then they're going to lose 2 in a row. Or they get their junk together and they go and play like they can play and get a win. Last time Purdue beat Notre Dame was in 2007. So Jackson.
That was a 3-9 year for Notre Dame. So hopefully they won't be that.
Yeah, bad. I was about to say, I'm like, they were really bad that year, if I recall. I'm going to go with Notre Dame to beat Purdue 28-24. I think it's going to be close, but I think Notre Dame survives. I do agree with you that Purdue likes to pass, and Notre Dame, that is a strength for them with the pass defense. That's a key. Notre Dame's pass defense is a strength. So
it's crazy that Purdue has beaten Ohio State twice since they last beat Notre Dame. I know they stopped
that's
playing.
Weird. That's so weird, man. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a good game. I think it shouldn't really be a good game. If Notre Dame was really good, then they blow them out, but we'll see. I think Notre Dame wins. I've given your Irish another chance to redeem themselves. I think they can win. They're the better team by far, but I think it's going to be close. But I think they'll win.
A&M in Florida.
Oh my God! What a garbage game this is, man. Well, what a garbage game this is. You gotta love it, man. A&M losing to Notre Dame. Like I told you, if they beat Notre Dame, I was picking them to lose this game. Now I don't know what to do. I will say, though, Lagway, DJ Lagway is in. And Florida looked better. I know it was Samford, but they looked better. We don't know what Florida would have done against Miami if Lagway played the whole time. They probably wouldn't have won, but it could have been closer. Problem with A&M is Florida good enough, right? Is Florida good enough for them to care? Probably not. They're not ranked, right? Like they just aren't going to care about this game. Just they still like they kind of that. I think I cut out there, but to change the culture, can Elko get the culture to change at A&M where they're going to care about every game? I don't know if they're there yet, right? I just don't know if they're there yet. It's going to take time, just like with Nebraska with Matt Rule to get the Scott Frost out of him. It's going to take a while to get the Jimbo out of him. It's going to take some time. And I just don't know if Florida's good enough for them to care about this game. I really don't, man. I'm going to let you pick first. I take that back. I'm not letting you pick it for Florida's going to win this game. I'm going Florida to beat Texas A&M 31-28. Give me the Gators. I think they pull out a win. I don't trust either team, and I think Florida with Lagway is going to get it done. I'm going Florida.
The culture is changing in College Station. Mike Elko, this is a new era for the Aggies. He's not going to go 0-1 in his first game. First season in the SEC. He's going to beat Florida. Connor Wegman played well against McNeese State. Lagway played well against Stanford. I'm going to go with a 24-21 Aggie win. I'll give him a gig 'em Aggies. They need to do well for Notre Dame to have a chance in the playoff if they go 11-1 for a higher seed. Come on, Aggies. Please.
I will say that if Florida loses, then literally Billy Napier is done. It's over. It's absolutely done. The question will be when he's fired, like Jackson says. And we got Tony in the chat. Haven't seen you in a while, Tony. Appreciate you for stopping by. But, yeah, I mean, this is Billy Napier's literal last stand. Absolute last stand. And if Florida does not win, I'm not picking him anymore. This is I'm giving him another chance. I don't know why I am after that Miami debacle. But I'm giving another chance. Lagway, I like what I'm seeing from Lagway. He's their only hope. He's Billy Napier's last hope. I think they get it done, but I'm not confident in either team. That's why I'm like this game. This is just the screwy game right here. You can't trust any team as far as you can throw them. But I'm going Florida, man.
We need A&M. We need Nick Scorton to control the line of scrimmage for the Aggies. He had a good game against the Irish. We need him to control. We need him and what's that linebacker that was good for Florida? A&M. I need him to have a good game too. I think A&M they'll cause havoc to Lagway, and Lagway will make mistakes and throw picks.
Yeah, you could be right. I mean, I'm still not impressed with Wegman either. I know Lagway's young, but I'm still not impressed with Wegman. He's going to have a good game on the road, something he hasn't really been able to showcase before. But, hey, Austin, this is like the last chance for you to have an 8-4 Florida, right? I mean, you're talking about 8-4 Florida. You need this one here. You need this game for 8-4 Florida to have any shot. It's not happening, but if there's any shot of it happening, they got to have a win here. Jack says Florida's out of chances with me. I mean, even though this is a dumb game, it's just such a dumb game. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for this game now, especially that we picked opposite. When we pick opposite, this is when I get really interested in these games. I pay attention more. Not that I don't already do, but I'll be watching this one. Go Florida. Save Billy Napier's job, Lagway. You can do this thing.
The Apple Cup, Washington State and Washington.
That's a good game. It's a good game because Washington
Tony's
State's looking
at the
pretty
Apple.
good.
Oh, MSU, Prairie View A&M.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
I think Michigan State should win that one. They should easily win, even though Aiden Childs is terrible. Like
he played better against Maryland.
Bad. They did better against Maryland, but still struggled somewhat. But yeah, I mean, it's not good to have 5 picks in only 2 games. But Washington, this is a good game here because Washington State's looked pretty good. And Washington has looked okay. In their first 2 games, their first 2 wins, they've looked just okay. I like Will Rogers, though. I think he's a good quarterback. I really do think he's a good quarterback. When he was at Mississippi State, he was rolling with Leach. It fell apart after that when he passed, sadly. But I think he's a good quarterback. I think Fish is a good enough coach. You know, Washington's been kind of average. I do think Washington will beat the Cougs in the Apple Cup 31-24. It's going to be a good game. I think Washington wins and covers.
We have the dual threat quarterback for the Cougs, Mateer. Ran all over Texas Tech. What game was that, Tony? The last game was the worst loss in MSU. That's fun. Reunion game for the Natty teams. That is fun. Well, can the Cougs do it It would be nice if they both won. But I'll have to go with the Huskies 34-24 over the Cougs. Oh, yeah. First loss to the MAC team. Oh, no.
It's never good when you have your first loss to a MAC team. It's not good at all. Up next, though, we got Jackson. Putting Pitt, West Virginia on ESPN2 shows that Disney ESPN is bad management. The only reason why they did that is because they know that A&M Florida on ABC, it's gonna get more views, right? It's gonna get more ratings. That's the only reason that they did that. Even though we, as college football fans, we love this game more, it just doesn't matter, unfortunately, to ESPN. I do think the backyard brawl, it's going to be interesting because West Virginia, they've looked okay. I mean, they were not good against Penn State. They turned around with a win. Pittsburgh's 2-0, but man, it barely beat Cincinnati, who I don't think's any good. It's at Pitt, though, which is a tough place to play, but normally it's tougher when you're ranked. What do you think?
Eli Holstein did look good against Cincinnati, but that's also a Scott Satterfield coach team.
Yeah, he's going to get fired there.
Jackson, I don't think that's going to happen, my friend. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Sean McDonough does not call ESPN2 games.
It'll be like a Roy Philpott game. Unfortunately. I have to pick WVU for Joey. I have to. 34. I'll go 34-31 Mountaineers. I think Garrett Green will do enough for West Virginia and beat Pitt.
Yeah, I think West Virginia is the better team here. I agree. I don't think they're that good, but I think Pitt's worse. I think Pat Narduzzi still has a ways to turn Pitt around completely. I'll go with West Virginia to win 28-21. I think they pull out I wouldn't say comfortable win, but they'll get it done relatively easily. I think West Virginia wins.
If
you got Jackson picking Pitt, though.
If Troy was good, that would be an upset game. App State ECU, this is a fun game.
Yeah, and look at that spread. Only 2.5 for App State. East Carolina, they're giving them a chance. Problem, though, is look at the ECU QB, though. 4 touchdowns, 7 picks. That's bad. I thought Charles was bad with 5 picks. So, I don't know, man. I think I hate to do this to East Carolina. I'm going to go App State 28-21. I think Garcia is going to have a couple too many mistakes in this game based off what he's done so far, and ECU will have their first loss.
Yeah, I'll go 34-20 App. Utah State could be interesting. If
the thing is, if Cam Rising, if we knew he was playing, I'd pick them for sure. As is, though, it is on the road. I will give it that. But I do think Utah's still going to win. Utah State hasn't been good in a couple
Utah State has Bryson Barnes at quarterback.
Yeah, he was at Utah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's funny. That's hilarious. I still think Utah's going to win, though. If Cam Rising was playing, I would go 38-14. But if he's not playing, I'll go 21-14.
I'll go 34-17.
I just don't know if he's going to play. I mean, if he plays, then they're going to win big, I think.
Duke, UConn.
Duke will win. They should win.
Loki should take care of business at ODU.
Yeah, Virginia Tech, though, they've lost Old Dominion in the past. A lot of these two teams always play. They always play. They got some contract. They're both in
There's
Virginia.
There's a lot of good recruits in the Norfolk area.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I think Virginia Tech, they look okay. I think they'll win 27-20. I think it'll be close, though, because they always are close with Old Dominion.
Yeah, I'll go 28-24. Hokies.
Better not blow it, though, because that would hurt their bowl chances.
I wanted to go to this game, but 91's a little expensive. Ole Miss and Wake. I'll get ugly for Wake. Sorry.
On the CW, even though the CW occurs, I think Ole Miss will win 40-10. They should win. Now we're scrolling. We're getting close to the game. You know I want to talk about. You know we're getting close. Yeah, Georgia's going to blow the doors off Kentucky, man. It's going to be 41-10. I don't think it'll be close. Kentucky, Vandegrift's not going to be able to, use his frustration with Georgia and having to leave to be able to win. I think Georgia easily wins.
I don't trust Auburn.
But I don't even want to pick that game, man. I don't even want to bother with Auburn.
Here's the game.
This is the game of the night. Georgia, Kentucky's not it, folks. It's Indiana at UCLA on NBC/Peacock. Thankfully, it's on both and not just Peacock. UCLA is an underdog, a 3-point underdog to the Hoosiers, which has people's minds blown. Like, how is Indiana favored against UCLA? Well, that's because Kurt Cignetti's in town. Indiana looking a whole lot better. Blowing out Florida International, blowing out Western Illinois, breaking records in the process. It's a completely new Indiana, and now they got their first real test. As you can see, Indiana's stats looking pretty good. Curtis Rourke, no interceptions, right? Justice Ellison leads a trio of running backs for Indiana. Tyson Lawton as well. Kalen Black, Elijah Green, they're all good. They got 4 running backs. They're all solid. Omar Cooper, he's really good. Donovan McCoy was banged up against Western Illinois. He should be able to play in this game, right? I mean, like, just looking at Indiana's roster, it's solid all across the board. They got a good tight end in Zach Horton. Their O-line looks better. The defense is better. And UCLA should have lost to Hawaii. They should have lost to Hawaii. I will give them credit, though. They have a bye for this game, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare. That helps. But UCLA not looking all that good. But what makes this game so special, though, is that Indiana is going to the Rose Bowl for the first time since 1967. There will be a lot of Indiana fans that travel to this game. They've been talking about the whole time on social media. They're hyped for this game. They haven't seen them in the Rose Bowl in over 50 years, so there's going to be a lot of red, cream and crimson in the Rose Bowl. I'm so pumped for this game. I'm going to let you pick first, Will, but this is the game of the night right here.
If UCLA would have recruited better at quarterback, like if they could have kept Fafita in that area, I think they would have had a shot. But I just don't think the offense is good enough for UCLA to hang with Indiana. I'll go Hoosiers to win 42-24.
Mm-hmm. We got Roger Dodger saying Indiana finally made the Rose Bowl. Jack said NBC took a gamble putting it on NBC and it paid off. Dave Valensky says UCLA is a real test. Indiana will win this easily. And then Gixxer Squid, Indiana over UCLA and Baylor over Air Force. So everybody's high on Indiana. That's what worries me a little bit, though. Like, everybody's backing IU. Could things go wrong? But there's no time for doubt. Can't have doubt. When doubt creeps in, that's when things go wrong. I think Curtis Rourke, he's been playing well. Maybe he might make a mistake in there in the first real test, even though Dave doesn't agree it's a test. So I think it's going to be interesting, though. I think UCLA will try hard in their first Big Ten game. I think they'll give it all that they have to make this interesting. But I think with the combination of Cignetti bringing new life to IU, they're focused, hungry, and ready. The Indiana fans are going to be there as well. I think Indiana is going to go on the road and win in the Rose Bowl 34-24. I think they win by 10. I think UCLA will struggle to put up points at first, but I do believe that they will score a little bit toward the end of the game to make it closer than it looks. I think Indiana will probably lead by like 17. UCLA might score a garbage touchdown at the end, but I think Indiana is going to win by 10, 34-24.
Colorado State.
A rematch of the game last year. That was an epic matchup. 10 million people watched that game, right? And literally, you had Colorado State running the same play again and again. That little crossing route that Colorado couldn't stop. It was the same play. It just kept doing it over and over again. Colorado's bad, man. They're horrible. They're horrible. And the fact they put this on CBS, man, I don't care with Dion and the hype. Why is this on CBS? Come on. It's because of the views, I know, but this is ridiculous. This doesn't even deserve to be on CBS. I don't know, man. I'm pulling. I'm going Colorado State 28-24. I think the Dion train just keeps collapsing. It keeps falling apart, man. I'm going Colorado State.
I'm 50-50 on this one. I'm going to look at how Colorado State's looked, and then I'll make my decision. I should have looked at this before.
Yeah, I kind of wish I did too. I was just going off gut.
I think that Shador's late game heroics. I'm going to go with the Buffaloes to win 49-42 in a shootout over Colorado State. Shador late game heroics will win it.
Don't get me wrong, he's great. He's great. I don't know, man. I don't trust him at all. I like what Jag said, though, the 60 minutes game of the week. That's a good one. I don't know, man. It's going to be close. It's going to go down the wire. I mean, I kind of hope Colorado State wins, though. I ain't going to lie. I mean, I really try not to hate on Colorado and Dion, man. That is just such a frustrating team.
UCF and TCU.
This is a game right here. That's all I'm going to say. This is a game. You know, like on Fox, you know, like now we got all these TV contracts. There's some games that don't really belong on, like, you know, the major television that are, but this isn't a bad one, though. I like TCU, you know, still trying to get it turned around after last year not doing so well. Josh Hoover's looked good, though. He's played good for TCU. He's a good quarterback. UCF does have a good run game, though. Harvey's a good back. I agree with that 110%. I'll let you pick first. I don't really have a read on this one. I don't.
But I like their run game, that 1-2 punch with Harvey and KJ Jefferson. I think I like that. I don't know, though. I don't know if I could trust UCF. I'll pick UCF 34-31.
Yeah, I was going to say UCF 31-28. I think UCF will pull it out. I usually back Gus Malzahn in games like this, but sometimes it does burn me, though, because it isn't always reliable. But I think UCF will get it done. And KJ Jefferson's there. I remember that, too. He's there. So I think UCF will win.
UCF will win, and then I believe, is it next week? No, they have Colorado. Oh, no, they have a bye. No, never mind. They don't play them for a while.
Oh, man, Tennessee's going to blow the doors off Kent State.
Maryland and Virginia at Virginia.
Oh, my Lord. On the ACC Network. What a game. Why? Oh, boy. Maryland sucked, though, man, against Michigan State. They were horrible. And Calandria is looking better. He's turning it over less. Virginia made me look bad. They did, because I picked Wake, and they proved me wrong. Made me look bad not picking them. You know what? We'll go with Virginia. We'll go with them to stay undefeated. I'll go Virginia 28-27. I'll go Virginia. They'll win another 1-point game like they did last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm liking Virginia. I think Maryland has the better athletes, but
yes, they do.
I'm going to go for a Mike Loxley late win. I'll go 34-28 Maryland. I'll be different.
Oh, you went with Maryland. No. Oh, boy. Oh, yeah, Dave says, can you get any worse? I mean, it's like this game, man. I don't even know what to say about this. It's just such a perfect game like no one cares about, that if it's close, people will flip on if the other games are blowouts. That's why you got to love it. You got to have a game like this.
Now we have Rice and Houston. This one's fun.
Foods look good, man. Food looked good last week. Houston's 0-2, but they were competitive against Oklahoma, though. But I don't know what that says about Oklahoma either. Is that Houston favorite by 4.5?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, man? I don't have these games like this, man. I just don't have a read on these. How are you supposed to pick these games? I mean, all these teams are horrible.
Mm-hmm. Rice did lose to Sam Houston State. That's a red flag. So I'll go 24-20 Houston.
All right, you sold me on that. I was gonna actually pick food. Sorry, Josh Pate. We'll go Houston 21-17.
Mm-hmm.
They need a win bad, dude.
Mm-hmm. BYU should crush Wyoming.
Oh my gosh, yes. Wyoming is garbage. Like, they're horrible. I don't even think the War Memorial Stadium even matters anymore, sadly. They're horrible.
Cal
to Idaho at home.
Cal should beat up on San Diego State.
Yeah, Cal staying undefeated, helping out Wilcox a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think that's it.
Yeah. I mean, we're done. We got through it. That was fun. See, that's what I'm saying, guys. It might not look that good, right? Week 3, right? It's not that good of a week. Not a lot of big games. Me and Will just had a lot of fun for the last hour picking these Maryland Virginias, these UCF TCU. If you're a college football fan, then those games are still interesting, man. They are still interesting. And I love picking them because when me and Will pick opposite, I'm engaged in those games. I want to see what's going to happen. I'm like, did I get my pick right? I love it. It's what makes college football so much fun, man. Those little underrated games can sometimes be just as good, if not better, than the bigger ones.
Mm-hmm.
You got any final thoughts, though?
I might pull up to that Maryland Virginia game. $20 tickets in Charlottesville.
Hey, man, it might be worth it. It might be worth it for sure. That's going to be an interesting game.
I don't know if I can get my friends to go, but it's interesting.
Hey, if you can, man, you have to tell me how Scott Stadium is.
I went to Scott Stadium for a Notre Dame Virginia game.
How is it?
It was pretty packed, and then it emptied out once Notre Dame put it on.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. They didn't stay the full game. You got to give them credit for showing up at the beginning.
Because that game,
obviously,
Brandon Armstrong was hurt, so they played the backup.
He was very good early on in his career, man. He was very good. That one season at Virginia, and then it all went downhill. It's kind of sad when that happens to quarterbacks. Like, they have lightning in the ball 1 year, and then it falls apart. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to Bama, Wisconsin. I'm looking forward to Indiana, UCLA, obviously. Both those games, I'm more confident in Bama to beat Wisconsin still than I am with Indiana, UCLA, not going to lie. But I think both should be fine. UNC, just take care of business. But hopefully Notre Dame for Will. Notre Dame, get it right. Get back on track. Knock off Purdue. You got to do this. But thanks for being here, everybody. It was a lot of fun picking all these games, recapping week 2. It's always a blast doing it with Will. And hopefully we'll be back next week, do it all again with some good results, hopefully in hand for our favorite teams, but hopefully for y'all's favorite teams as well in the chat, that your week goes great in college football as well. But thanks for being here, everybody. Like the stream down below, whether over on WillND's channel or here at Only Talk Sports. Subscribe to both channels if you like the show. And leave a comment down below as well, what your picks are for these games if you didn't leave a comment in chat. But, again, thanks for being here, everybody, and it's going to be a great week of college football, even though it's going to be a weak one.